We are ready to join the wider community, and we sing ourselves into community, knowing that wherever we are one. Go on our website. Whether we're celebrating the gifts of life, or whether we are weighed down by the burdens of life, or whether we are weary from the bustle of life, or whether we're grieving life's losses, or we're delighting in life's joys, or we're raging at injustice, or we are seeking peace, it's love that gathers us together. And whether we're taking our place in this circle, or we are joining one another online from wherever we are, it's love that gathers us into one earth community. Whoever we are, and wherever we are, and whatever our size or our shape or our age or our gender identity or our sexual orientation, our race, our cultural identity, our language, our religion, or those who have none of that, here and wherever we are creating safe space for all of us. And we welcome those whose spiritual search has brought you to Southminster Steinhauer United Church, into this space we share together, in this room in Edmonton, or in a circle in Toronto, or wherever you find yourself joining us in person or online. We want to especially welcome spiritual seekers from Meewasin Valley United in Saskatoon who are stepping into a partnership with us as a satellite spiritual community. We delight in sharing this time with you as you gather in St. Andrew's College in Saskatoon. And we receive your greetings now and your invitation to us.
And I'm here to bring you greetings from Meewasin Valley. And really I'm excited to invite you to our special service of closure, which really is being referred to as our celebration of life. This is going to take place at St. Andrew's College Lounge in Saskatoon on Thursday, May the 31st from 7 to 8:30. And we've designed the service to honor our life seasons as Meewasin Valley and our marked excitement about beginning a new spring season with SSUC. The celebration will continue with a wine and cheese reception following the service, and we would just love to have you with us. And if you can join us and require a billet, please just contact Lorraine in our office and we will make sure that that happens for you. So we will really look forward to seeing you on May the 31st.
In gratitude and with deep respect, we gather on this land, whether we gather in Edmonton or in Saskatoon, we gather in Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting ground of Cree peoples, a traveling route of Saulteaux Blackfoot, Dene, Métis, Nakota Sioux, and a place that has become home to so many of us, whether we've come recently or whether we came generations ago. We share a journey into right relationship and a healing our wounded and wounding history. Wherever we are, whoever we are, we gather as one. On this day, we celebrate Earth Day. We light this candle in celebration of Earth's oldest ritual, our turning toward our day star. We light this candle knowing that light gathers us and the light of love gathers us. We gather in the long story of becoming. And so we sing that story with one another, welcoming the voices of women who have been gathering this weekend in a circle called Widening Embrace, singing with Carolyn McDade into this Earth Day. And we sing the long story in the beauty of images she has given us as we sing together this ancient love. This is an opportunity for big and small, tall and all to come and have a little time on the carpet. We're going to have a conversation about this day, and we are going to sing a song to each other with both our hands and our bodies.
Good morning. Good morning. Come, there's lots of space on the carpet here. There's a beautiful red spot and a blue spot. What do you see? Where? On your back? My back? Really? Oh. 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 Happy Earth Day. So it was this Earth on my back or was I on its back? Oh. Today is Earth Day. And did you know that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old? Is it a trillion? How big is a billion or a trillion? There you go. It is so, it's old. It's ancient. And we've got weather and snow. I'd like to pass this Earth that's no longer on my back very gently. I'd like to invite you to, how does it feel as you pass it very gently? Maybe hug it from one person to another. Would you like to hug it and then pass it? Would you be willing to hug it together and then pass it just behind you? It's made with air. Wow, that is so cool. How does that air feel?
Lovey.
Lovey?
Fluffy.
And fluffy. Lovey and fluffy. How else does it feel? It feels plastic? Yeah, you're right. It is plastic. That's a good point. But I bought it. I did buy it 14 years ago, so it's not single use. Oh. Step by step. I find it soft. Did anyone find that you can actually squish it a little bit? Yeah. This one, when I find that I'm picking something up that's a little bit soft, I find that I want to hold it very gently. I don't want to squish it. I want to care for it. And I'm using a few signs today. This is a sign for care. You try this with me? It's like, I care. I care for you. Yeah. We need to care for it because it's our home. It's a planet that we don't know. Maybe this is one of the only planets that has life as we know it. So, there's air, there's water, there's soil. I'll invite you to do these actions with me. Soil, imagine picking up soil. And in that soil, if you could see it, you'd see so many bacteria. And the bacteria give life to plants and insects. Can you see that? That's insects. Not great. And animals. Would you hold this for myself for a moment? Want to try it? Owls, animals. Okay, let's just keep passing it very gently around. And then humans. Okay, here it's a sign for human. This was animal. Human. Yep. Yep. And weather, all sorts of weather. So Earth Day is like a birthday. And if you can imagine, this is an ancient birthday. And there's a song that we can sing for this particular birthday. It's called Oh, Beautiful Gaia. And it was written by a friend of ours who is a great lover of Earth, Carolyn McDade. So I'd like to share these signs with you before we actually sing it. I'm going to put this up here this time. And thank you. Thank you. The next sign is Gaia. Gaia is another word that we give to our home, which is this planet Earth. So Gaia, imagine that it's spinning in space. So if you take your two hands like this, that's the letter G, and you turn it around in space. Oh, beautiful Gaia. Gaia is our home, right? This is where we live, what we know as life. The sign for home is where we eat and sleep. And it calls us home. It calls us home. It calls us to remember, to keep going, that this is home. We need to care for it. If you were to see Gaia like this, it would be like a jewel in the cosmos, like a beautiful gemstone on a ring, like this. Let's see everybody show you where a ring would be, and then imagine it's in the cosmos. So big. Oh. And we are so lucky to live on this beautiful planet. We are blessed. This is the sign for blessed. And it's such a creative place. So we send out that good creation. And what lives on Earth? Lizards. And so you take an L and let that lizard climb right up that stone wall. Yeah. And turtles. Turtles live here. Turtles have a body and they have a shell. And sometimes they wiggle their head. And I think we're ready to go for this song. Are you ready to sing it? I'll invite everyone to remain seated, and I'll make the actions really big so you can join me.
Beautiful. This is an opportunity for kids, preschool for grade, like kindergarten and up to grade 6, to join Bonnie and Michael and continue your unit on world religions. You've got some cool things to do today as you study Hinduism together. And for any youth in the room are welcome to make their way down to the youth lounge for Youth Cafe. Thank you, Sherry Ann. These are the words of Mark Nepo in his writing the Book of Awakening. And he speaks about revealing who we are, and these are his words. No bird can fly without opening its wings, and no one can love without exposing their heart. It's perhaps the oldest of inner laws, as inescapable as gravity. There is no chance of lifting into any space larger than yourself without revealing the parts of you you hold closest to your chest. Anytime you hesitate revealing who you are, picture yourself as a bird perched on a roof, wings tucked at your sides. To enter a relationship without opening your heart is to jump off a roof without spreading your wings. It's true, the baby bird hesitates the first time out of the nest. But once tasting the air, it's their inner nature to open and rise and close and land. This is their life, and it's ours too. The paradox, of course, is that we must trust the inner power to lift and land. For us, in revealing what we hide, exposing our heart, once revealed, those tender things become our wings. In the lived experience of this poet,
My name is Cliff Hansen from MVU. In the first three of the four gospel narratives our tradition gives us, we receive a story about an exchange between Jesus, a first-century teacher, and a seeker wanting to know how to live in an enduring and meaningful way. This is the earliest of those stories, written some 40 years after the death of Jesus. This is the way Mark's gospel tells this story. Mark chapter 10, verses 17 to 22. As Jesus was setting out on a journey, a man ran up and knelt before him and started questioning him. "Good teacher, what do I have to do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? You know the commandments. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. You shall not defraud. Honor your father and mother." He said to him, "Teacher, I have observed all these since I was a child." Jesus, looking at him, loved him at first sight and said to him, "You are missing one thing. Make your move, sell whatever you have, and give the proceeds to the poor. You will have all manner of treasure. Then come and follow me." When he heard this, he was shocked and went away grieving, for he had a fortune. In this story passed down to us,
If we could time travel that character into the future and advance him about 20 centuries from his story, I think we'd recognize him. Because if he lived in our time, he'd be all suited up in Armani threads. And he'd be speeding along in his Ferrari, and he'd be checking the stock market closings on his phone, talking to his broker on a speaker, not wasting a precious moment to make a killing on some hot tip. And he's got another call on hold, trying to get an appointment with the spiritual guru who's in town for the day. This character's biggest problem is that he was born prematurely. And I don't mean a few days or weeks, I mean a few centuries. Because he would have been so at home in our fast-paced Western society, much more so than he was in his first century Mediterranean world. And he strikes me as one of those guys that would really like to rub shoulders with whoever the guru of the moment was. In his first century Palestinian world, he comes running in the desert. He does what you don't do in the desert. No one runs in the desert. He runs because, of course, life is full of the urgent, the important, the essential. And then he flings himself at the feet of a peasant whose teaching's been making headlines for months. Rushing between his power lunches, he blurts out his pressing spiritual question. "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" He's looking for a soundbite answer to a profound life question. At first blush, we're kind of tempted to see him as a spiritual seeker. But actually, he's the quintessential spiritual consumer. I don't think he's asking, what do I need to do to get off the planet alive? He's not asking, what do I need to do to live forever? His question is really about this life. His question is, in 20 words or less, could you tell me how to make life more fulfilling, more meaningful, more satisfying? In our culture, he would have asked, what Steps to Success books should I read? What kind of meditation should I do? Which yoga practice is really the best? What religion should I follow? Well, you get the idea. The question is really bold-facedly narcissistic. Let's not mistake the fact that it is all about him. He's not asking how to leave the world better than he found it. He's not asking, how can I make a difference? He's asking, maybe there's a prayer I can pray or a chant I can say, or maybe there's something, a self-help book I can read, a motivational seminar I could go to, some kind of meditation I could do. I love the way this story has Jesus point him right back to the spiritual tradition he came from. The story doesn't have Jesus say, you need a new spiritual path, or you need a new religious tradition, or you need to stop being so religious and become spiritual. What he really says to him is, if you want to enter life, he doesn't say eternal life, everlasting life, the next life. If you want to enter life, consider the fundamentals you learned as a child. Can't you see the guy's brow furrowing as he reaches for his phone, hoping to record the sound bite of spiritual wisdom? So he says to Jesus, couldn't you just be a little more specific? Like, do I have to keep all of the Big Ten? Or do I have to keep the hundreds of purity laws in the holiness code prescribed in the Torah? Or are there just a few high priority ones that I could focus on? And we notice in the world of the story, Jesus starts the inventory smack in the middle of the pack of those top 10. Starts with commandment number 6. Don't kill. Respect life. Goes to number 7. Don't be unfaithful. Respect relationships. Goes to number 8. Don't steal. Respect what another has. Goes to number 9. Don't lie. Respect truthfulness. Then circles back to the dead middle, number 5. Honor your parents, your elders. Respect what has come before you. Maybe this guy saw where it was going because he interrupted Jesus before Jesus mentioned number 10. That thing about coveting, envy. It wasn't really his problem. He already had more than his neighbors could ever dream of having. He didn't need to crave anything that was his neighbor's because he was incomparably better off than anybody he knew. But this spiritual checkup focuses only on the practices that have been laid down in his tradition that have to do with right relationship with all the other members of his species, with humanity. There's not even a whisper of any one of the first 4 commandments that have to do with relationship with Israel's God. Maybe because the root of his spiritual bankruptcy has absolutely nothing to do with his beliefs and everything in the world to do with his behaviors. His holiness code isn't the issue. His compassion code could do with a little brushing up. His spiritual crises has everything to do with his relationship with other humans. It isn't that he needed to change his beliefs or find another God or fix up his creed or get a better theology or establish some spiritual discipline or find a faith community. And it isn't that Jesus has some big hate on for the rich or that wealth is intrinsically evil. The deficiency in his spiritual life that they're addressing, this restlessness that sent him running across the desert, comes from being like a bird that is trying to fly without opening its wings, without exposing one's heart. In the world of this ancient story, he broke the teacher's heart wide open. Whereas he's not really a character I find very endearing. In fact, I find it really easy to close my heart to him. I find him downright irritating. But the story bothers to say, and Jesus, looking at him, loved him. And then said to him, you know, you have it all. You're only missing one thing. You have to give yourself away. You have to give yourself to love. You have to give yourself to the things that make right relationship with others. And the story says, with sadness, he went away, empty-hearted, because he couldn't let his heart be broken open. He couldn't open his wings and expose his heart. He wasn't willing to get a life by giving it away. We have a door in our house that just won't stay open. As our house has settled over the years under the weight of itself, with the passage of time, our house is shifted in such a way that our bathroom door always closes itself. So we prop it open with something that looks like a stone, but it weighs absolutely nothing. And it does a whole lot more than hold the door open. Because as you see, it's inscribed with the word love. A reminder that hearts, like doors, are only held open by love. That hearts, like wings, are meant to open to the fright and the flight of life. At some level, we know his sadness. We know how hard it is to let our hearts be broken open. We know how hard it is to keep the door of our heart propped open. And we know how hard it is to expose our hearts to the risk of flight. It's just about as hard as it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle, or a Ferrari to get through a revolving door. And we also know that whatever our role in life, love is our primary commitment. whatever our means, love is always ours to give. Whatever our job is in life, love is our vocation. Whatever our career, love is our profession. And we don't ever get to retire. We never get to retire from love. As long as we have breath in our lungs, it will be the right season to be planting love. It's never out of season. It's never out of style. It's never out of fashion. So we take this little bit of time to share some silence with one another and to ask ourselves where it is that life is inviting us right now to plant our love.
a longtime member of Mewasan Valley United Church. 8 or 9 years ago, during a transition phase, we reworked our vision statement, mission statement, and values. After many passionate meetings and hours of discussion, we intentionally chose these 15. We have used these as guideposts on our collective spiritual journey and for our personal lives. These values are justice, respect, passion, balance, courage, integrity, creativity, gratitude, inclusivity, spirituality, compassion, responsibility, open-mindedness, continuous learning, and joy. Often we are asked, why do we not state love as a value? Our response? Genuine radical love embodies all of these values. We are experiencing many of these values with you folks already as we develop this uncharted relationship. Onwards together.
That was Terry Harrison at Mewasan Valley United Church. They're right. All those values are summed up in one 4-letter word. Just as Jesus, in conversation with those who asked how to live, said, love. That's it. That's the bottom line. It's just a simple 4-letter word that takes all of our effort, all of our energy, all of our time, all of our effort, all of our thought. So we go with one another in the great light of love, knowing there is really only one question: how to love this world, our home, how to love Earth's creatures, Earth community, how to love one another as ourselves.
Hey, it's Christopher. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch last week's video, click this button right here. If you can manage it and can donate to SSUC to help us continue this video page, click right here. And for any information that you want about SSUC and our programs, visit our website right there.